Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to the Live Fully Now podcast with me, your host, Shannon Ryan. This is a place where we discover how to go from merely surviving to really thriving. And I'm so excited to have our special guest with me today, Amy Pankenier. So, welcome, Amy.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so good to see you again.
I know, so good. I feel like we have so much to catch up on. um, So, a little background. I don't know if you want to share kind of how we met, share a little bit about Shabbat. So, a few weeks ago, or maybe a few months ago at this point, Amy and I met at a Shabbat dinner that was co-hosted by a mutual friend and really bonded over multiple things. But I would say really stepping into our truth, stepping into our power, listening to the signs of the universe, listening
Mm.
to synchronicities, and going through these obstacles and these big major life shifts and really answering the call of our soul. So I'd love for you to share a little bit more about that and what resonated with you as far as when we met and how we connected.
Mm. Well, I know that I felt kind of a deep sense of calm after hearing you talk about your journey because I felt like our paths have been very similar.
Mhm.
And that feeling like um, that I've stepped off into this void and I don't know what's next. And hearing your story about leaving nursing and sort of shifting into something that's more in alignment with who you are just was it was just affirming for me.
Mm.
Um and and I'm in that place now. I'm not sure I'm not sure if you know that I'm in the void again. Like I don't know what I'm doing next.
Mm.
Is that I forget because I know I was a podcast producer when we first met, but and
Yes.
I it's not that I'm not that anymore. I just don't have a job anymore.
Yeah. So rewind a little bit. I would
Mhm.
love it if you could tell the listeners a little bit about, where you were at when we met, which was in this space, I believe, of, you had this job and you heard, we're sitting with the plant medicines and you
Mhm.
had sort of this call that told you, to follow and you weren't sure about it and you maybe didn't listen to it. And then,
Mhm.
certain things happened as catalysts really to push you into this uncomfortable zone, into this unknown. To where you had no choice but to move and to listen, which is very
Yes.
similar to me.
Right? It's like you're just sort of feeling like the universe is like shoving you out the door.
Mhm.
Like which is basically what I was. I was shoved out the door.
Yeah.
And so I've been in this space of okay, so if it's not that, it must be better than that.
Mm.
What's coming, what's coming my way must be better than what I had
Yeah.
um, because that's the only thing that makes sense. Because I
Mhm.
know that the universe is conspiring for my greatness. I know
Mhm.
this. That's been shown over and over again. So now, just in this week, I'm having these opportunities being presented to me. And I'm at this inflection point where I have to sort of make choices and decide what direction I'm heading in. And it's really interesting because it's a the spectrum of what is being presented to me is very broad.
Mm.
And so I'm trying to just and I would love some insight from you if you have any, or if anything's coming to you as I'm saying this. But right, like I have this very conventional job possibility that would pay quite a bit of money and give me safety and security. I have this sort of midway option that would provide me with a steady paycheck and is possibly going to give me more time that's my own, but I still would not be fully doing things that are in alignment with who
Mm.
I am and where I'm going. Oh, I just said that out loud.
Yeah, sometimes all you need is just, somebody to be your mirror and reflect back to you and listen to yourself. It's pretty amazing what can come out when that happens.
Crap.
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, and so then I have these two other things that have come up that feel like they're more in alignment with where I'm going, but one of them's really edgy, you
Mm,
know? One of them feels like it's very edgy. So I
mm.
don't, yeah.
And what do you mean by edgy?
Um, hmm. Well, I mean, stepping further into the non-conventional. I come from a very conventional world,
Mm, yeah.
and and so this one would be, yeah, stepping further into a world where people who I know that don't exist in this place would have judgment.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I can definitely resonate with that. I mean, as we've spoke about before, a lot of my choices on the path that I was on before really were to please others, worrying about what other people cared or worrying about, what other people thought. I was so concerned about what other people thought, worried about judgment, worried about fitting into this box of society and cultural norms and what my family wanted and all of that. And, that's ultimately like doing our soul and ourself, our highest self, a disservice. So, really this being in this space of surrender, being in this space of flow and allowing and listen, getting quiet enough to like listen to our soul's whispers, our heart's whispers, and what our heart's desires are. And I know that oftentimes we seek out others for this advice, but really the only one that knows the answer is you. And so my advice would just be to sit with yourself and feel into what fears are coming up, what judgments, what insecurities, what limitations, and really, decide, are those true? Like, is this fear true, or is this trying to keep me safe and play small? And really listening to your own inner guidance, your own inner compass, your own truth, your own heart, your own wisdom, because that holds all the wisdom and keys and messages that you need.
Yes. Yes to all of that. And
Mhm.
it's funny how you know it and then you also are it's I don't know, I just forget. I just
Mhm.
sometimes I forget the things that I know. I mean, we're on a spiral, so I get to be gentle with myself when I realize that I'm forgetting things that I've already learned. And I think that part of it too is knowing that I'm just taking a step in a direction. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm locking myself into a path. I'm
Yep.
just going to head in the direction that feels like it's the most in alignment with where I want to where I'm heading,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a huge a huge thing. Something that I struggle with as well is like it doesn't have to be so final. In fact, this is Earth School. We're here to learn, we're here to grow. And, sometimes we're going to take the wrong direction. Sometimes we're going to take the wrong path, but it's never really wrong because, in my eyes, because it's always a lesson. It's always getting us closer and it brings us a deepening, an understanding that gets us closer to our Dharma, our purpose, our passion of living in that full truth, in that full alignment. So I don't really think that there's a wrong turn or a wrong direction you can go. But, I would still definitely follow the path that feels most in alignment to who you are wanting to become and not feeling that, energy of constriction or control that feels like, oh, this is so final. And, if this isn't right, then I'm screwed or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is definitely true that I was thinking about so we've both just been traveling and the trip that I went on, and I want to hear about your Bali trip because
Mhm.
it sounds like it was all the things. My trip was all the things. And I had expectations around what I wanted it to be, and it wasn't that. It
Mhm.
was the trip that I needed, not the trip that I wanted.
Where did you go?
So I went to visit my daughter who is going to school in Europe, and we
Mm,
went to go see the tulip fields in Amsterdam, like
mm,
outside of Amsterdam, and then we went to Italy.
mm,
And the Italy part was really interesting for me because I had always dreamed of going there. It was one
mm,
of those places that I had sort of kept as like a pretty dress in the back of my
mm,
closet, waiting for the right moment to wear it. And I decided I just needed to do it, you
mm.
know? And so I went, and I like to travel by myself.
Yes.
It's magic tends to unfold for me when I travel by myself. And that this trip, there was some of that. Like a lot of things happened for me where like divine timing was there the whole time. We would be walking through a town and we know we need to take a train, and then we just casually stop for gelato, and then we'd walk up to the train station and we'd buy the ticket, and then the train would pull up and we'd step right on it. Like
Mm,
that kind of stuff happened the whole time, which I delight in.
I love
Um,
that.
yeah, but it was I was realizing that traveling out in the world without community,
Mm,
without a conscious person at my side
mm.
who is being able to share the sort of, it's a strange world
The
out
magic.
there. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wanna share
Yeah.
the delighting in the synchronicities, in the magic. Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally get that, which makes it complicated when you're traveling alone.
Yeah.
But often, I've found at least, like you said, is that's why I love to travel alone because the amount of magic and synchronicities that have unfolded when I'm by myself in this space of the unknown, of divine timing, of no plan, of no set destination, of really just following the breadcrumbs of my joy, of excitement, and things
Yeah.
just unfold, unfold, unfold. And it's like this, this snowball that just keeps getting more and more momentum and more magic. And the places that I've gone and the people that I've met and the experiences that I've had would never have happened if I had someone with me. And I just love that because it's like the universe's way of leading me to the lessons and the places and the interactions and the things that I need to experience to grow from, and the wonder and awe that I need to see from, here or there, and the experiences from whatever the land has to offer. So, yeah, it's a complicated one, but I would love to hear a little bit more about maybe some lessons, some fears, some things that came up for you that may have brought some new insight, or some you had mentioned that it wasn't, up to your expectations. So what were some things that showed up for you or came up for you on that trip?
Well, I know. So expectations are dangerous.
Yeah, right.
So
It's like to
I
happen
reckon,
very little of the time.
yeah. So I recognize that it was definitely, you know, part of it was the expectations of what I was holding as what an Italian trip would be and the reality of it.
Mm,
And some of it was beyond my expectations or what it was, and but also there were a lot of surprises. Um and I think I'm still trying to integrate it, for sure. One of the things that happened that was sort of this really interesting moment was that I was still with my daughter and she was leaving in 2 days. We had 2 nights in this little tiny town on the Italian coast. And then she was going to fly back home for her exams. And then I would have the rest of the time to myself.
hmm
And so that night we go to this little Italian bar that's right near where we're staying. And I go in there and I end up immediately connecting with this beautiful older man with like white dreadlocks and a gorgeous smile. And we lock eyes and he ends up telling me that he's playing music there later that night. And I'm like, there it is. Like, yes. So we go out to dinner, my daughter and I, and the dinner takes longer than I expect.
Mhm,
And so we walk up to her room. We go up to our room, and I'm like, I'm gonna go. She's done, but I'm like, I'm gonna go back down to that bar and have a drink.
mhm,
And so I go back down to the bar, and he's there, and he's done playing music, but he's sitting at this small table with about five other people, and he invites me to sit down. And the next thing I know, I'm in this amazing moment where the owner of the bar is playing a mandolin,
mhm.
and we're sharing drinks, and then we start playing dance music, and we have this sort of impromptu dance party. And I'm loving all, like, the people I'm meeting are amazing, exactly right. And they're like, hey, like, later we're going to go down to the beach and dance down at the beach, and
Mhm,
potentially smoke a little bit. And I'm like, yes, this sounds amazing. And then I remember that my daughter thinks that I've just gone down for one drink, and I don't have my phone. My
mhm,
phone battery was like dead, so I just left it in the room. And so I'm like, you know what? I think I got to go back, but I'm here tomorrow night.
mhm.
And so I go back, and then the next night, I'm like so excited because this is how it happens, right? Like, this is how it happens is I connect with people, and then they tell me where I'm going next.
Yes, same.
and
Yeah.
and I don't know where I'm going next. All I know is I'm dropping her at the airport, and then I like do not know where I'm going.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm excited that this has happened, and I can't wait to like connect with them and find out where my adventure is going to lead me. And then we walk into the bar, and my daughter, who has been traveling nonstop for about a month, I see the energy just drain out of her. Like, the music's really loud and it's
Mm,
crowded, and she just kind of gets this sort of disassociative look on her face. And I'm like, oh no. So I'm like, okay, let's go get you some food, and then you can go back to the room, and I'll come back. And then we end up going out to eat, and then she ends up having to cry, like having to have an emotional release.
mm,
And so I end up, holding her and letting her cry, and being the mama.
mm,
And I love that. Like, it's rare that she's that vulnerable, and so it's
mhm.
very treasured for me to have that with her,
Yeah.
but it's definitely jacked up the rest of my trip.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out, what is that lesson in there? I don't know, but I mean, and I say that like the rest of my trip was just totally different
Mm,
than what I thought it was going to be, and it was still amazing, but just totally different.
mm. Yeah. I don't know. There's so many potential lessons there, but, having that moment with your daughter is super beautiful. And that's maybe what the lesson that universe source wanted you to have that deepening with your daughter.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, to if those moments are so rare, then it's such a beautiful gift. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love just all of the magic and synchronicities, and the way that travel has enriched my life has been absolutely astonishing. Have you um have you been traveling most of your life, or is this somewhat of a new thing that you've been exploring, or what is it about travel that really resonates or lights you up?
So, I mean, a couple things. One, not only have I traveled my whole life, but I've also been super nomadic.
Mm,
Basically, I moved every 2 years
mm,
my whole life up until I moved to Colorado in 2007.
mm,
But before that, I had moved every 2 years. And it was kind of this pattern where just when I was getting to know I knew the weather patterns of the place. I had an idea of what that place was to live in, and I had started to build community, then I would leave.
mm. And
And
was that on purpose, or was that
um well, I wasn't conscious.
mhm,
So it was me just feeling like what's next, what's next, what's next. And what I'm understanding too is that I didn't raise up. I wasn't raised with I don't know what living in community looks like.
Mm. Yeah.
So I am that's part of my path right now is leaning into understanding what community looks like and how I can have that because I would like it.
Mm. Yeah. I know for me, I feel like I've always been, I mean, I grew up in a similar way. My mom, a flight attendant, and just kind of traveling back and forth between my mom in Colorado and my dad in California, and always felt like I was just like running and running and running and seeking the next best thing. And again, I wasn't conscious either, but I know now that I've, kind of done some work on peeling back that onion is that, I was running away from the emptiness I felt of sitting in my own self, of sitting alone, of needing to feel busy, of needing to like see the next fancy place, of do the next crazy adventure, all these things that I was yeah, just seeking out to fill that void in me of the comfort zone because it didn't feel enough, which in turn meant I didn't feel enough about myself and I didn't love myself. I don't know if that resonates with you at all.
Some of it does. For me, I have always been a lone wolf.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like part of my moving and not having roots is because it feels safe. It feels comfortable. Then I'm not going to ask people to help me because I don't know people well enough. You know, if you're always in this space of like being new and not establishing, then people can't let you down because you're not expecting anything from them,
Yep.
and you just
Yeah.
do it all yourself. And that has that's been my way for sure.
Yeah. And I think we talked about this a little bit at Shabbat when we first met, but just this wounding of the divine feminine and of all these women in the workforce trying to be, seen as equal and really like losing our connection with our femininity and being in this space of this masculine of trying so hard to get somewhere, of trying to prove ourselves and not wanting to ask for help and not wanting to, seem weak. And really, I feel so deeply that that is something so necessary right now to healing in the collective is this sisterhood wound and this divine feminine wound where we can really step into our vulnerability, step into our softness, and be both fierce and soft, and be able to ask for help, and all of those things that, the balanced divine feminine can be when we embody both the masculine and the feminine parts of ourselves.
Amen to that. Yes. Yep. Yeah. Well, and I think what I've seen so far is that when I'm conscious of the fact that I'm at this inflection point where I can either choose to do what I've always done or I can choose to do it differently and ask for help or to reach out or to yeah, it's almost like I end up in a different dimension
Mm,
or a different level or something. It's like when I make that decision to do it differently, it shoots me off in a direction that feels different.
in
Does
which
that make
way
any
does it
sense?
feel expansive or contracted?
Yeah, it feels expansive, and then all of a sudden I'm seeing more support in that
Mhm.
for having made that choice,
Oh,
for
for sure.
having yeah, for having like leaned into either that fear or understanding that this is the way I've always done it, so I'm going to do it this way. And like as soon as I start leaning into that, it's like I I see support show up
Yep,
in so many different ways.
definitely. I can resonate with that 100%. I feel like for so long it was just me being in the comfort zone. And the second I decided and made the choice to step outside of it and to really surrender in my control and let go and into fear and allow myself not to necessarily have the plan or know what it looks like, and to just trust that the universe has a higher plan for me, and that's probably even more beautiful and more grand than I could ever imagine. And all the things that I have wanted and been seeking, before I was trying from a masculine, space of like forcing and resisting, and of course it wasn't happening. But once I entered it into this, unknown space with this more softness of not knowing and trusting and listening to that, call and that intuition, things have manifested with effortless ease, and people have shown up on my doorstep to help me. Opportunities have arisen. And yeah, I think that that's so beautiful that you've experienced that as well. Just, being able to allow and receive and to be.
Yeah, I know. It's so hard.
Oh,
Surrender is not easy.
no. It's a daily practice for me every single day. I mean, I feel like the human condition is literally just like in amnesia, and every day we have the choice to choose to remember and
Mhm.
to, just make these conscious choices and be in this state of awareness where we can make more aligned decisions. And yeah, my biggest lesson and my biggest practice is constantly surrendering every day, releasing control. And it's hard. It's really hard being a human.
Well, and to your original question about why I travel, one of the things that I realized I became aware of, that's always been true, but I'm recognizing it for the gift that it is that when I put myself into travel mode, I'm always choosing way outside the comfort zone. Like I don't like traveling to a place that looks and feels like America. I
Yeah.
don't I don't go to, resorts. I always want to try, I always am putting myself into like the least touristy, most local scenario I can possibly find. And I realized on this trip that it forces you to be present
Hmm.
all the time.
Yes.
You have to be present. So it's like this amazing practice of being present. And it's exhausting,
Hmm.
but it's also energizing at the same time.
Yeah.
And being present all day, every day, because I'm by myself in Italy, that was something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that about traveling as well. And it was interesting to hear you kind of speak to that because I grew up this way. And I'm so blessed that I grew up this way because it was, the best form of earth school that I could have ever been gifted. And I know my soul chose this, eons ago, to have a mom that's a flight attendant. But,
Yeah.
we grew up this way where we would maybe like pack a bag thinking we were going to Alaska, and then we'd, go to Hawaii or something, because we'd fly standby, and we would have to learn how to be super resilient, how to not have a plan. Like we wouldn't have a hotel booked, we wouldn't know how to speak the language, we'd be jet lagged and get somewhere at 4 in the morning and have to figure out public transportation and how to speak a language and how to figure out a hotel, and with a family of five. And I was the oldest sibling, so I had to do a lot of it, and it was super difficult, but it made me so strong and so wise and so um, open, and to be able to see the world through the lens and the perspective of different people, different cultures, different places, learning, being able to adapt, to change, to grow, and yeah, like you said, being present. And I didn't really recognize or put the pieces together until you just kind of laid that out for me. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. I just figured that one out myself, so happy to
Yeah.
happy to share with whoever is a traveler who maybe doesn't understand all of the reasons why they love travel.
Hmm.
I think it builds your presence muscle. It
Hmm.
makes you, if you're choosing that type of travel, which
Yeah.
a lot of us are.
And that's the kind of travel that I've always chosen as well, is, I want to fully experience the culture. I want to take away the privilege. I want to be seen as equal with the other people. Like, I want to stay in the village and
Hmm.
live how they live and, talk about what they talk about, learn the language, eat the food, like fully
Hmm.
immerse in the culture and live how the people in that part of the earth do. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, and the part I didn't realize was the comfort zone part. And it's so true because it's fully all the time being outside of your comfort zone and living in this void where you don't know what's going to happen and where you're in this state of surrender and trust and you just go with the flow and let it unfold however it's supposed to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it always, right, it always makes you realize what you love about your home, like when you come back to your own place, the things that you need and love and want. And then also, thinking about this in particular, the times that I can still go into autopilot,
Mm-hmm.
even though I am really rehearsed at being present,
Yeah.
and being mindful, just driving to the grocery store
Yeah.
is something where you can just not be present,
Yeah.
and that's when you're traveling, that's not a thing. Like, you
No.
can't, there's no autopilot when you're traveling to a place that you don't know, that's unfamiliar. Yeah. I wonder if you must, I would think that you would be really good at planning travel. Do you have that dialed in?
I mean, I don't plan. Like I said,
Yeah.
I plan my one rule because I'm a woman, is I plan one night at a hostel, when I'm going somewhere. And now that I'm in my mid 30s, I no longer stay in group, dorms, unless that's the only option. But I like to sleep in my quiet, and but I still stay at hostels because I love, the
I love
community,
hostels.
and I love meeting people there and seeing, whatever, whoever I meet and wherever the best places are to go. And
Hmm.
so I often just book one night at a hostel, tell, one person where I'm going, and then from there, I don't have a plan. And I just let the universe take me wherever I'm supposed to go and do whatever I'm supposed to do. And I have had so many crazy magic experiences. My favorite one that comes to mind is when I was in India and I ended up meditating underneath the Bodhi tree where Buddha reached enlightenment with monks for a week in silent vipassana meditation based on, the snowball of magic and synchronicities that I followed. And
I just
yeah,
got the
just
chills.
saying yes to magic, saying yes to synchronicities, saying yes to alignment, and being in that void of the unknown. It's just so amazing what can happen when you don't have the energy of control and planning and resistance and yeah, I feel like that's what planning does. It like closes you off to all the opportunities that could potentially manifest in your realm.
Yep. I so agree.
Hmm.
Um, that I was, you were, that story is incredible. And the first time, one of the first times that it really landed for me that this is what I needed to do when I wanted to travel, was I was in Hawaii and I stayed at a surf hostel,
Mm.
which was amazing. And I ended up, I was at the beach at sunrise, and there's this guy who happens to like walk up next to me, and we're both drinking coffee and we like share, we're just talking a little bit, and I end up saying to him that I really enjoyed the energy of this particular island more so maybe than some of the other ones for me. And he was like, well, since you said that, he's like, you probably would want to know about this. And
Mm.
he ends up telling me about this secret meditation garden that is on the hillside and overlooks the ocean and was built by these, the,
Yeah.
and so it's stuff like that that you're just like, that's
Oh
the
my.
best. That's
Yeah,
the
and the
best.
same thing goes for, if I've found that, if I have somebody else traveling with me, it's again being in my comfort zone because I have somebody to talk to, right? And
Right.
that blocks out a lot of potential energy of magic and miracles and synchronicities to unfold.
Yeah.
Versus when I'm by myself, I'm forced to talk to people that I might not talk to and to, you know, go talk to strangers and go do stuff that I might not do if somebody's with me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Well, so Bali, I want do you have a something that you're taking away from Bali that I would like to know about? All
Well,
of it.
I mean, I was there for a mermaid retreat, which
Yeah.
sounds very in left field, I know, but it was so amazing, and it was, yeah, again, me entering into this space without any expectations, and the way that I arrived at saying yes to this decision was, again, following the miracles and the magic and the synchronicity. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. That this just appeared in my lap, and I was like, "What? A mermaid retreat in Bali? Of course, of course, yes." And, I've been called to Bali in my soul for probably about 10 years. Like, even when I say the word Bali, every cell in my body kind of lights up and buzzes. Like, I knew something magic was going to happen there, but I didn't know what that was. And so when this opportunity came into my field, I was like, well, this is the magic I'm going to experience there. And I was there for an eclipse on the beach, which was absolutely magic. Um, and yeah, just being able to the level of embodiment and empowerment that I felt putting on this tail was very unexpected. It was like I was stepping into this divine feminine archetypal wisdom and knowing and power, and it was amazing. Just the beauty, and also the thing that I was playing with was allowing myself to be in the beauty, in the divine feminine, because for so long, I went through a phase in my life where, I lived in Arizona and didn't wear any makeup and kind of deconstructed all this Western stuff, which for the first time that was the first time I felt truly beautiful with no
Mm,
makeup and with nothing and none of this, exterior stuff.
yeah.
But this was like a remembering the beauty way and being able to allow myself to dress up and wear crowns and be a mermaid and be daintiful and pretty and beautiful and delicate and feminine and powerful and fierce and soft and all the things. And learning about environmental sustainability and fighting for the ocean and the animals and using the mermaid tail, using this power and authority that you have when you put this on to fight for the earth, picking up trash and teaching children like that listen to you automatically with this tail on and swimming in the ocean and connecting with the animals and the earth. And it was just so, so beautiful and definitely something that I'm going to take forward from here. I have my own
Mm.
tail now, and I'm going to possibly be co-leading a mermaid retreat in Texas this summer.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that so much. Um, I wonder, like, so forgive my question because the it to me it feel like, so how does it not feel like you're playing like you're, or is it you're just playing dress up, you're just remembering what it's like to play dress up?
Mm.
What like what is it?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the putting the mermaid tail on, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, like, so in my mind, it's like a costume, like you're putting on a
Yeah.
costume, and so on one hand, I can see how that's really cute and fun, but you're talking in a level that I don't quite like, help me understand, like, how it goes from being, like, something that's cute and fun to something that sounds like it's really impacted you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, I felt a deep remembrance. I fully believe in all of the mythical, the magical realms, and I fully identify like as being a mermaid in a past life or being a fairy or, all these mythical beings and archetypes. Like I've never swam in a mermaid tail and I put it on for the first time and just instantly knew how to do it and like be beautifully just swimming like a mermaid. everyone, was like, "This is your first time?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Um, but it just felt so natural to swim with this tail on, and I don't know, it just felt very empowering and liberating and beautiful and harmonious. Like I just felt like the archetypal wisdom of the divine feminine, powerful, beautiful. Um, yeah. And for somebody
Wow.
who hasn't, who's dealt with issues with, my speaking my truth, with my throat chakra, with my self-worth, self-confidence, all these things, it was this moment where I didn't have any of that. It was just like, oh my gosh, I'm awesome. I'm powerful. I'm beautiful. I'm amazing. Yes, 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 yes. Look at me.
Yeah. That is, yeah, okay. So I get it. I get that. I get that. I actually, so I was at this dance party where this guy who invents these amazing things had a beta test of a thing that he invented where you're dancing in front of this like projector. You're dancing in front of it. It reads your energy, it reads
Mm,
your motion, and
wow.
then it projects it on a screen with like laser beams and sparkles like flying out of your hands. And like it's so cool and it's so beautiful and it's reacting to your energy and the movement of your body.
Wow.
And I just got it.
Mm,
Like it was just like I was in such a flow state immediately with it.
mm,
And that's what makes me think of because the mermaid tail, it sounds like that was that for you.
yeah. I
And
mean,
this,
it's,
yeah.
go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, and this, I think people could look at it and be like, oh, it's like basically like VR, but not quite. And but for me, it was like, I don't know.
I mean, like you said, it was flow state. And I, feel that it was also, it was a mermaid retreat and a sacred dance temple keeper initiation type of thing as well. So, yeah, both of the aspects of embodying I mean, the word mermaid means servant of the sea. So, and then we learned about, the lost city of Atlantis and all of the Lemurian wisdoms and the
Wow.
star seed and all of that, which, I definitely have always resonated with. And so yeah, I felt very in flow state, not only with my dance, but with putting this tail on and moving in this harmonious way, almost like a meditative way, where super present, super connected to the elemental wisdom of the ocean, of the fire, the air, the ether, the water, all of it. Like it was so powerful, and also the magic and the energy of Bali, It was just a very impactful returning and remembrance of my divinity, of my truth, of my power, of my sacredness, all of that. It was really amazing. And the sisterhood, which is something that I'm really passionate about going forward, is
Mm.
healing the sisterhood wound and being able to celebrate each other as women and celebrate other powerful women and release this fear of needing to compare ourselves or all of that. We have been so conditioned and taught that this is how we need to do. We need to be prettier and skinnier and la 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 la. And it's like,
Mm.
no, we have been fighting women, women and women. Like it's really a toxic energy. And it's something that I'm very inspired and to go forward with in the future about how to hold space for other women and to rise together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yes, absolutely.
Which brings me, I reminds me of I would love to hear a little bit more about this priestesses group that you have started and a little bit about how that's showing up for you and like how that serves as a community space. I remember you saying that you've been called to step up as a leader, and I am so honored to be included in that group now that I'm back in Colorado. But I would love to hear a little bit more about, what you're doing with that, what you're where you're moving and shaking right now?
Oh my God, that is such a good question. And it's like kind of hurting my heart a little bit as you're asking it because I still have resistance to being a leader.
Mm.
Um, so I gotta work on that, think about that, process that, but it's still there. I felt it. I felt it when you said that. I was like, I said that. I'm like, yes, you did. Yep, yeah, you did. So I gotta work on that one.
Mm.
Um, and the sisterhood group, the priestess group, um, the messages that I have been part of the downloads that I've been getting have been around getting people together, understanding that we're more powerful in groups, that
Mm.
we're more powerful when we're connected, having ceremony, having ritual, that um, and that when we do get together and we generate energy amongst each other, we give each other more strength, we give each other more resolve and more commitment, and we fill each other's cups, and it doesn't feel so hard.
Yeah.
And so that's the piece, like I want that, and I I don't know, like I had this moment where I just kept thinking that some group out there must be leading the charge when it comes to creating this new earth,
Mm.
and that I keep hoping they'll find me. And then I'm like, well, what if we're it? What
Mm.
if what if, I mean, Denver, this area, Colorado, we're in the center of a lot of what's on the leading edge. Like what if you're it? What if I'm it?
Yeah. I mean, we are, right? No one's coming to save us except ourselves. Like we are it. We are, I feel this energy collectively that, and I think we spoke to this a little bit before, but we are the leaders. We are, there's a reason why so many people are being asked to answer the call. And
Yeah.
it's because so much is needed for us all to come together, for us all to step into our own truth, our own embodiment, and
Yeah.
to hold hands and rise together. Because, like you said, with one of us, it's not going to work. And we are
Mm-mm.
at such, desperate times for our Mother Earth, and it's not going to happen if we just sit back and continue to allow, fear to get in the way and allow these circumstances to, take away our power.
Well, so I actually, you're making me think that I want to create a distinction right there in that thought process, because I recognize that I've been falling into it too. Is that there's, on one hand, you have this energy of we're running out of time and we need to do stuff, like we need to start doing stuff, like this is the time. And then I'm realizing that I want to shift it to a place of empowerment
Yeah.
and a place of like, wait a minute, why do we want to wait anymore?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do we really want to wait anymore? Aren't we all ready for this? We're ready
Yeah.
for this. We
Yeah.
want this, right? Like, it's time. Like, we want it. It's
Yeah.
time. Let's just bring it in. Let's just do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
What else are we going to do?
Yeah.
Right? Like, what else are we going to do? This is
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree with that. I think that it's good to not think of it in this sense of like, oh, we're gonna all die off and whatever, because it can get super apocalyptic and super dark and super crazy. But I feel so positive about where we're going, and I
Yeah.
can just feel it. Like I'm
Yeah.
not worried about it at all.
Yeah.
Like I just know that it's gonna all be okay and that it's gonna
Yeah.
be fine. But at the same time, like, I still want to encourage other people to step into their truth and to step into out of fear and into love and really listen to their intuition, their inner guidance, and
Yeah.
step into their leadership, their power. And I think that that's the biggest thing right now is reclamation of power for each individual one of us, but then
Yeah.
collectively as well, so that we can, make choices from our empowered self and from our essence rather than from this, system of misbelief, misinformation, which really holds the main um, what illusion, which is the illusion of separation. And that's
Yeah.
really one of the things that I want to help heal is this illusion of separation.
So I was thinking about what you were saying about women competing and thinking about my own journey to discovering my sacred purpose and looking around and thinking, oh my gosh, there are so many incredibly smart women who are doing this work. Like, where would I possibly fit in with? Like,
Mhm.
there's already like so many amazing women who have learned more and studied more and like all of the things. And so like I think yeah, sometimes I forget that that's actually not it.
Yeah,
That
it's
that
not.
we have our own, each one of us has our own place, and it's not a matter of, that's like a scarcity thing, that's like a capitalism thing, right? Like, oh, there's too many of these. No, there's not actually.
Yeah.
There's not.
And when we think about it, like, even if you are offering a similar service, at the end of the day, there's only one of you. There's only one of you. There's one being that vibrates and oscillates and has this unique medicine and magic and vibration and energy and voice and sacredness like no one else in the world. Everyone else is taken, You might as well be yourself. Everyone else is taken. Like you're the only one on this whole earth, just like I'm the only one on this whole earth that can be me and vibrate in my resonance and my frequency and some people are going to be drawn to that and want to hear this wisdom from my words or my story and some aren't and there's so much variability and there's so much room for us all to exist and coexist and to co-create magic.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Mm.
really needed to have this conversation today. Thanks.
You're welcome.
That's amazing timing.
Good. I know. I mean, I feel like I love having these type of conversations. It really, it's so easy to get lost in our thoughts, in our heads, and in that like self-sabotage or in it, my inner critic coming up when I'm alone a lot of times. It gets louder and I have to do more work and it's like really there's so much power in community and conscious conversation that brings out, and in speaking. And that's really why, one of the reasons why I, again, chose to step outside of my comfort zone and start a podcast because I know that I needed to challenge myself and hold myself accountable to step into my truth, into my highest self, and to solve and or clear the throat chakra blockage and to really make myself uncomfortable and
Yeah.
empower myself to embody this, higher version of myself. And it's healing.
Yes, I mean that's absolutely why I did mine, and it is, and I still am somewhat kicking and screaming about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have all of this. I haven't recorded one in a little bit because I've been traveling, and so I'm feeling like I should record one, but I'm resistant to it because I haven't gotten it all figured out yet.
Yeah. I have,
I like, and it feels very vulnerable for me to just start talking without knowing what I'm supposed to be saying at
yeah.
all.
hmm Yeah. I know. I totally resonate with that. And that's one of the biggest things that I've recognized recently that I've need to overcome, or one of my blockages has been this perfectionism. And for
Mm.
so long, I didn't really resonate with the idea of being a perfectionist, but I've noticed that I am definitely a perfectionist. And that has held me back and kept me playing small for so long. And that, like, every time I show up to do this podcast, there's still fear there. There was fear this morning. I was like, questioning myself, like, what am I doing? Who am I? This imposter syndrome coming up. Like, who am I to do
Mm.
this? Who am I to share my voice? I'm
Yep.
not good enough. I'm not
Yep.
enough. Like, all these voices, all these insecurities, it's totally normal. And but like continuing to show up and do it even through that is, I'm sure, going to hopefully one day build that muscle strong enough so that there isn't resistance, and so it's easier to flow, and so that I'm not as critical and hard on myself with this perfectionist, like, oh, you need to have a specific topic, you need to have everything figured out, you need, it's like, no, just have a conversation, be easy, be light, be
Yeah.
playful, and allow the fun and ease and flow, and it's all going to be okay.
It is. It totally is. It's better. It's going to be better than that, actually.
Yeah.
It's going to be, yeah. I mean, and it already is. Um, and I think, well, so what I've been working on is when I am experiencing the tougher times, right? Like the heavier times, the times that don't feel really great, especially when it has to do with interacting with other humans. I had a minute. I'm still working through some of it where I was just like, we don't need men. Let's just, they're in the way. They're in the freaking way. They're not doing their job. They're not doing the work. Like, let's just, ladies, like, let's just get them, let's just do it. And I realize that's not the way,
Yeah.
but like, I have these darker moments, and those are the times when I realize that I grow the most.
Mm, yeah.
And so I lean into that because I love growing and learning, and so then I get to be grateful for those hard times because they push me.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, the discomfort and the dis-ease are always the biggest teachers, as uncomfortable as they are. But yeah, they're definitely there for a reason. And if we can lean into them and allow
Yeah.
them to, not be such a heavy burden, a heavy weight, but just bring more ease to them, more flow, and really reframing that. I know a lot of people think that things are happening to them, but like really this is happening for us, for our highest evolvement, and they are messengers and teachers to get us closer to being on the right path.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't mean they're easy.
No, it doesn't. And for me, I think I have this. I was at an event this past weekend, and a lot of, I am someone who is genuinely positive, and I bring a ball of light energy with me wherever I go. I know this about myself. Um and there's like a part of me that has this question mark whether peop people I meet think that I never have hard times.
Mm, yeah.
And it's like I almost feel like I have to like let people know that I actually do have really hard times. I just transmute them pretty quickly,
Hmm. Yeah.
or try to.
Yeah. I mean, as long as, I mean, I definitely resonate with that and feel that as well. Most, I'd say like 90% of the time, I am showing up as this beacon of light and just very, because I genuinely want to like help change the frequency and the vibration of the people around me. And
Exactly.
me showing up in my highest vibration is going to do that. And
Yeah.
I don't choose to sit with the emotions or the feelings for too long. I just say, okay, feel that. And then, like, I'm going to go to the next thing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it doesn't mean that like it's not a constant daily struggle. Like when I have to consciously change my neural pathways and my thoughts and really always be aware and questioning where these are coming from and questioning my beliefs. Is this true? Is this not true? What am I going to choose to align with? I don't know. Sometimes I think it's so much harder to be more difficult to be in this conscious leading this pathway, like walking the way is so much harder than, these other people who aren't living in a conscious way, who are just so happy in this robotic way of life where they don't even have to question any of this. But,
Yeah.
I wouldn't change it.
No, God, no. No.
No, I know
Definitely
how you
not.
feel about that.
Definitely not. It's just, I mean, and in fact, the more that I am this unmasked and fully vibrational version of myself all of the time, like not all of the time, but the more I get to expand the time that I get to be that version of me, the more fun I'm having, the more um it just, yeah, it's just better and better.
Mm. Yeah, that's something that a lesson that I've been reminding myself of each day is that it's okay. Yeah, it can be easy. It can be fun. It gets to be easy and fun. And actually, when you are having fun, you are living in most alignment with your truth. And it doesn't have to be difficult and hard, and you don't have to be slaving away and working so hard to get somewhere. Like it gets to be fun and easy, and you get to live the life of your dreams. Yay.
Yes. Yes. Right? It's I was laughing because I have this well, one of my divine purposes is play.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mine
that's
too.
right. And I like laugh about it because I'm like, what an amazing job. That's such a great job. Like, how am I so lucky that that's one of
Yes.
my jobs here is to
Yep.
play. Like,
Yep. And
that's
bring joy.
amazing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then I think, well, I did pick a really, in some ways, a difficult job for this world, for this reality that we live in, right? The challenge is real. Like
Yeah,
it's but it sure is fun when
it's
you
super.
figure out how to bring more and more play into your life.
Yep. That's where the magic and the medicine and the synchronicities come in even more. I
Yep.
love that so much.
Yep.
Well, I'd love to ask you one more question before we end, which is how would you advise the listeners to live fully now and to really be in a space of thriving in their life, being the authority of their life, taking their power back?
Mm. Well, I mean, I got to go with my theme, which is play.
Yay.
Like you have to figure out how to bring as much play into your life as possible. That's and like your job here, your number one job, all of us have one job, and that job is how do we create a world that we're in our highest vibration?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like play is one way to really like lock in the feeling of being in your highest vibration.
Mm.
And so that's the one for me.
Yay. Well, I'm so glad and blessed and lucky that we got to play a little bit with you today. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
sharing your unique medicine, your unique vibration, and just your wisdom with me and with the world.
Oh, thank you so much. I did not know how much I needed this
Mhm.
conversation, and I want to tell you how grateful I am for your wisdom. And I mean, just look how much happier I am now for having
Yay.
had this
Me
interaction with
too.
you.
Oh, it is. Yes. Thank you
It
so
works.
much. It does work. It is magic.
It's magic.
So tell the listeners where they can connect with you, a little bit about maybe your podcast, your Instagram, where they can connect with you if they feel like they resonate or are seeking more information about you.
I love that. So my podcast is Magical Soup, and it really is. It is it's stories of magic and synchronicity that started off being heavily edited, and now it's mostly just me talking to you about the ways that I was just talking to you
Mhm.
in this podcast about the way that I'm processing things, what's happening to me. Sometimes they're really magical stories and it's super fun to share, and sometimes they're more reflections on lessons that I'm learning and how I'm processing them. And I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just willing to share what my process is. And if it helps anyone, then amazing. And it definitely helps me to just be able to process out loud.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I got it back at it. Back at it. I got to get back at it. Thanks for that reminder too.
Awesome. Well, thank you again so much for sharing today, and I look forward to connecting with you in the future.
Yeah, same. So good seeing you.
You too. Bye.
Bye.